Hello and welcome to the Red Bull Ring. We're live here on P1 Broadcasting with the Indy Open Series from the Red Bull Ring here in Austria. Just a hop, skip, and a jump away from last week's event at the Nürburgring. We're in for a 34-lap event here tonight with the Indy cars around this 10-turn road course in Spielberg, Austria. Outboard with Seb Alexander here in the IAR machine. We will continue to follow him through practice here, as practice will come to a close here very shortly. We'll get into qualifying here. 15-car field on tap here tonight. I believe it was around a 3,200 strength of field. Solid showing here tonight. Mark Murphy is on vacation at the Disney World, I believe, in Florida. Or actually, no. He's at Disney Hollywood Studios in Hollywood, one of the Hollywood parks. Disneyland, he's hanging out in the Disneylands. There's more than one out there. I've been informed very recently that there are many at Disneyland. We'll head on out with Ty Keela in the Rogue Racing machine for qualifying here. Get on board with that Rogue Racing driver as he gets ready to start nailing down some qualifying laps. Red alternate tires here on tap for Mr. Keela. Heading down that back straightaway here at the top of the course. Down into this very tricky right-hander. Kind of deceptive, this track. The corners look very, very simple, but to make time here, it's very, very deceptive. You'll see right here, you got to really back this corner up, hug it really tight, only just briefly make it out to the curbs here, and likewise do the same thing with this next turn here. Kind of similar to, say, a Laguna Seca from the world of IndyCar. Is a lot of the corners, you've got to back them up a lot to hit the apexes and roll through the corner as quickly as you can, as tightly as possible, as we'll see him round the final corner, turn number 10 here at the Red Bull Ring to head on to his first of 2 qualifying laps. Gradual rise up into turn number 1 here. Use all the rumble strip. Get that car aimed to the rumble strip on the other side of the track. Heavy throttle on exit as he works his way towards turn number 3 at the end of this straightaway here. They call this turn number 2 right here, I believe. So this will be turn 3. Another tricky corner. You got to slow up, get all the way over here, and you're basically almost off the track on exit. Got to stay real nice and tidy through there. Head down the back straightaway here into this next right-hander. Likewise, good uses of the curbs there. He's going to turn a little bit wide on the exit there, but he'll carry a good bit of speed heading down towards this next set of corners here. The double left, one here, and then he'll make another left-hand turn down at the middle of the hill here. Still got a ways of descent here. Good bit of elevation change here at the Red Bull Ring, despite its rather steady inclines everywhere. It does turn into quite a bit of elevation changes, as we see here. Another right-hander down the hill. Second right here for Mr. Keela. He'll head down the front straightaway, and we'll see where that puts him on the timing table. 114.5. Good enough for the 3rd spot at the moment. So we see Leon Flugiker with a 13.837. We'll ride along with Keela one more time around here. Into that turn number 3. He'll head down the back straightaway. We'll get on the outboard here to get a bit better of a view of the track here. Head down this fairly sizable back straightaway here. All the way to that exit curb, or the entry curbing there. All the way to the inside, all the way to the outside. Little bit wide there again, but that seems to be holding steady here for Ty. Naughty Emil shoots to the provisional pole with a 13.323. Would like to cut in and say that if you enjoy our coverage here on P1, we do these on behalf of the community, so you can support us monetarily via GoFundMe link in the description of the stream, or through super chats here on YouTube. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, family, anybody you know to tune into P1 here for all the open wheel coverage you could desire and then some. We're live pretty much every day of the week with some sort of open wheel racing, barring few exceptions, which we'll cover as we get into our weekly calendar here for the week. We're up with another triple header here tonight, I believe. We've got the Indy Open Series at the Red Bull Ring, the ISRA Lotus 79, the Onyx Lotus 79 League will be taking on Laguna Seca tonight. I believe that starts at the top of the next hour or shortly thereafter. And then I will be capping off the night with Indy Next back here at the Red Bull Ring for the Road Series for the top split Monday night event. There, we'll see if we can find ourselves another car out on the track doing some fun stuff. Seems like everybody who's out there is cooling down at this point, so we'll just ride here with Jason Urban, 15 car here tonight. So we'll have 3 races on tap here. This is the first of 3. Of course, it's the big one tomorrow night. The Indy Oval Fix Series will be taking on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Needs no introduction. That'll take place at 8:15 Eastern Time tomorrow. Alongside, I believe, Indy Next will take place at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow at Nashville Super Speedway. Should be interesting. One of the real-world tracks for Indy Next. Gotta double-check something real quick here. Make sure. I knew that. I want to get ahead of that. I knew I still had my voice chat on. We're going to turn that off. Apologies, everybody. Hello there, Brett. Good to see you here in the chat. We are waiting as qualifying wraps up here from the Red Bull Ring. We will get into a starting lineup as soon as it completes. Believe everybody's set their times, barring a couple entrants. Who may or may not opt to do so. I know Langenberg has a tendency in the past, from what we've seen, to not take time in qualifying. He likes clawing his way through the field, which, power to him. He does a good job of it each and every week here that we've seen him on the channel. Good to see Rashad Craig, reigning champion in the Indy Open Series, back in the lineup tonight. So this is the Red Bull Ring. I believe previously this was known as the Styrian. I don't know if it had an actual name before it was the Red Bull Ring. I'd be curious. What was this place called before it was the Red Bull Ring? Magic Internet Machine. What was the Red Bull Ring? Something very German. I am not going to attempt to recite it. It's the Umbla Oshistring? I'm going to hit it anyway. Well, apparently it was then rebuilt and renamed to the A1 Ring, and it hosted the Austrian Grand Prix from 1997 to 2003, and then came back in 2014. And it has been the Red Bull Ring since 2011. It's had a couple names. Thank you, Leon, for chiming in with at least one of them. So it's had a couple names here, but it is now the de facto proving ground of Red Bull Formula One, seemingly. But we'll get into a starting lineup here. If I can find the... There we go. We'll get the music going. This is the first time I got the music here. So we got standings music here. So from the pole, it'll be none other than Nadi Emil with a 1 minute 12.858. Alongside him will be Luke Mansky's Logan Edwards rolling off in the second spot. Leon Flugaker will start third, with Caleb Brashear lining up right behind his Luke Mansky teammate in the fourth spot. Thomas Van Kirk will line up fifth alongside IAR's Seb Alexander in sixth. Ty Keela will line up seventh alongside Kevin Hayes III in eighth. Reigning champion Rashad Craig in the other IAR entry tonight will line up ninth, with Bru De Silva in 10th. Landon Edwards will line up 11th alongside Alberto Lobo in 12th. Jason Urban will line up 13th, the last car setting a time, alongside Tyler Langenberg in 14th, and Glenn Cate will round out the 15-car field here tonight. And that will be our starting lineup. Here from the Red Bull Ring, we'll hop back towards the front of the field. Try to get that's a close shot of the Luke Mansky Racing entry for Logan Edwards. We'll see if we can get a shot aimed the other way down the pit lane, if at all possible. Bit high in the sky here. Guess we'll stick with this one for now. So the Porsche pace car will lead the field around this track. Full pace lap here at the Red Bull Ring from the starting line. It is somewhat comedic that they've got the cars lined up basically right in the standing start grid spots. But we don't do those here in IndyCar. We roll around behind a pace car and have the cars already moving before the race starts. 34 laps here on offer tonight. We see a good bulk of the field. I believe everybody is on the primary tire. They're looking to take those things as long as they possibly can here. I'd imagine this is not too unlike a lot of the other road courses we see on the schedule, particularly something like a Road America, where it's very, very heavy braking zones throughout the course, resulting in a good bit of tire usage. High speed, very big braking zones here is kind of the name of the track. And we'll see just how long these drivers opt to push these tires. Expect at least the halfway mark, if not a little further. We'll just have to see what the strategy is from especially the front runners of the field. Elias Pinoides, yes, this is the first split of every new week. This is the split that the community opts to run every week here for Indy Open. It's the main slot, if you will. People like to get it out of the way earlier in the week. Kick off the week with a bang as the official week changes over. This doesn't get any earlier than this, as this is the exact slot that the week changes over week to week. We've had week ones in seasons past, including this one, where the first slot doesn't happen because of the changeover taking a bit more time. So everybody here hitting the track for the first time all week in the IndyCar. At least in terms of an actual race happening. I'm sure these guys are putting in a good bit of practice dialing in the setups here for Indy Open, getting a feel for the car, making sure that they've got things where they want them, how they want them, and when they want them. Particularly when it comes to that tire strategy. We are seeing pretty much everybody on that black tire, everybody in the field, 1st through 15th, heading towards turn number 9. Down the hill here slowly. We will get the field in control of Nadi Emil. Nadi's going to go before the last turn even completes. He's off.
Green, green, green.
He'll be out to a sizable lead here off the get-go in that AlphaTauri-inspired scheme. Fitting as he'll come towards that AlphaTauri bridge right now. Field is single filed out behind. We'll hop back to Logan Edwards in second, under attack from Leon Flugaker. He's going to look to the inside into turn number 3. Edwards is going to get the momentum off the corner. We'll see if Flugaker can hop back into line and mount another charge. You see Alexander at the end of this train, running in the 5th spot. We'll see how long it takes Seb to start maybe making forward gains up the field. But the field has basically single filed out all the way through. We're seeing a good bit of progress from some of the cars that started deeper in the field. Tyler Langenberg's already up to 10th after starting 14th. Stay out here with Logan Edwards to close this opening lap, and we'll attempt to see who's fighting further back in the field as we'll get gaps up here to try to catch that close battle. Langenberg's making moves quickly. We'll hop back to him. He runs 10th. He's chasing down Bruce Silva for the 9th spot. Believe this will be the closest battle on the racetrack at the moment. We'll see if Langenberg can work his way through on Silva. He's going to look to the outside here, which technically turns into the inside for turn 2, but arguably turn 3 is the big one here at the end of the straightaway. Silva's going to let him have it. Very tight on the exit of turn number 3 there. Move Langenberg to the 9th spot. We see Ty Keela under charge from Rashad Craig. Rashad Craig's through on Ty Keela coming into this next corner here. They'll move Rashad up to 7th. And then we'll hop back towards kind of that second on to 5th train. We'll hop into the end of that with Seb Alexander as Kevin Hayes has entered the picture now. Just a little bit of off Alexander now. And we will get covering the rest of the coverage here tonight as Nadia Emmel gets to a 1:14.289. 9:05 Eastern Time will be the Onyx Open Wheel Lotus 79 Series from Laguna Seca. And then at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be covering Indy Next Road from the Red Bull Ring here once again. And that'll be our present, past, future coverage as it so finds itself. Working lap number 3 of 34 in this first race here tonight. Flugaker has moved through on 3rd. I believe he was already there. Just catching that back up. So we've got Nadia Emmel leading over Logan Edwards and Leon Flugaker. Caleb Brashear runs 4th. That remains essentially as it was. Seb Alexander runs 5th with Kevin Hayes in 6th. Rashad Craig up to 7th. Ty Keela back to the 8th spot. Tyler Langenberg has worked his way from 14th to 9th. Bruce Silva finds himself in 10th. Alberto Lobo runs 11th with Thomas Vankirk in 12th. Landon Edwards runs 13th. Jason Urban 14th. And Glenn Cate will run 15th here in our 15-car field. I think the cutoff to get into that Laguna Seca race is tight. There's been a couple guys who've tried doing the double between this and that league, and it gets really tight. So it's possible that there might be 1 or 2, but Laguna has definitely become a better track for me in recent seasons as I've gotten more accustomed to it. I haven't driven it a ton historically, but it's been fun to learn that one. So the field has started to string out a good bit towards the front here. We'll hop back to Alberto Lobo, who's looking to get by Bruce Silva for the 10th spot. This is the bottom part of the top 10. We got a Pepsi car out here. That's some fun stuff. We're getting all the drinks out here at the Red Bull Ring. Lobo's going to look on the inside of Silva, thinks better of it. Thomas Vankirk is right there in tow. I believe that's the Dunder Mifflin scheme of Office fame. Votive League Administrator Shane Coker chiming in. I'm blazing fast at Laguna. Well, maybe you got to teach me something there because I am wicked slow at Laguna. One of my worst tracks, historically speaking. But Lobo has fallen away. Oh, no, he's made the pass on Silva. Silva's down to 11th. Well, doggone it. Move Lobo into the 10th spot. He's going to start hauling the mail now. Power moves for the Pepsi car. He's got the Pepsi man on board there. We got Vankirk looking on Silva into 1. He thinks better of it. Backs out of that. We'll hop back towards Rashad Craig, who has caught Kevin Hayes for that 6th spot. This will now be the closest battle on track, unless you count the battle between Ty Keela and Tyler Langenberg. That's going to actually come to blows here probably sooner, so we'll hop back to Tyler here, as he's just 3 tenths away from Ty Keela in the Road Racing Machine. That very gold car for Langenberg. Ty Keela runs wide off that right-hander there. That'll give Langenberg a good run heading into the double left here. We'll see what he does. Coming through these double lefts. Keela's still using every bit of the track he possibly can, which, for what little I've run here, doesn't seem to always be the most effective thing, but it has garnered him a good run down the hill here, into the double right here to round out the lap. So that bit of a wiggle there for Langenberg. One thing that is very tricky about this track is those last couple of corners are very, very strict with off-track slow-down penalties. As Langenberg hops that yellow curb on the exit, that'll slow his exit off of turn number 1. This bottom portion of the top 10 is starting to tighten back up. Langenberg gets a good exit off of that turn number 3, heading down the back straightaway now. We'll hop on board with him, see what he sees coming, chasing down Ty Keela, as he runs in 9th. See if we can witness a pass from inside the car. Watch Langenberg work these double left-handers here. Or I guess the single double left-hander. A little bit of gravel usage there. Clean so far. He's still in the toe of Ty. Still a little over 3 tenths out. See, very, very tight on the curbs here. Ty starts to stretch his legs a little bit down the front straightaway here. Langenberg will reel him in the draft. Gets a little piece of that curb again, but he's going to get onto the push to pass. He's going to stay with Ty. He's in the draft here, working down towards turn number 3. He's going to hop to the outside here. He's going for it. He'll stay outside. We'll hop outboard here to get a shot of this. He's going to be on the outside coming into the next right-hander here. We'll see if he can hold on to it. We've seen Ty getting very wide off this corner. Maybe he's going to send it in. Parks it on Langenberg. Langenberg's off in the gravel. That'll let Alberto Lobo through, more than likely. Langenberg's going to fight back on the inside. Lobo's going to make a pass here. Pepsi car up to the 9th spot. Tight racing here for the bottom portion of the top 10. We'll see if Langenberg can reel his way back forward. Nadi Emil, fastest lap of the race, 1:14.286. So these primary tires are finally picking up the pace. F1 directors would put a girlfriend shot in this overtake for sure. Fortunately, we don't have any virtual girlfriends that we can point to. Maybe we could put a crowd shot in there and just stare at a bunch of crowd members instead, but we'll stick to the cars on the track as best as we possibly can here. Langenberg's looking back on Lobo down the back straightaway here. He's giving us the show. Rashad Craig is still about 3/10 away from Kevin Hayes. We'll see if that gets any closer here, as it looks like it's going to start to creep into that window sooner than later. We'll check on that battle shortly. Langenberg's still looking on Lobo, though. He gets a little bit of a wiggle there, so we're going to move to Rashad Craig, chasing down Kevin Hayes for the 6th spot. This gap has remained consistent over the last 3 or 4 laps. But Rashad's doing what he can to try to work his way forward after qualifying a couple rows deep in this field. Working on lap 10 now. Heading down towards turn number 3. Oh! Bit of a moment there for Kevin Hayes off the corner. That'll let Rashad on through. That's a pass for position that we saw, and we caught it as it happened. Look at that. This might be an F1 track to most people, but the IndyCar action here comes in spades, as Rashad Craig will move up to the 6th spot and begin to try to start chasing down his IAR teammate, Seb Alexander, who still runs in the 5th spot. So it is Nadi Emmel over Logan Edwards, 8.5 seconds. Nadi Emmel has checked out on the field. Leon Flugenker runs 3rd, about a second back from Edwards. Then Caleb Brashear, the other Luke Mansky racing car teammate to Edwards, will run 4th, with Seb Alexander and Rashad Craig, the 2 IAR cars, running 5th and 6th. Kevin Hayes runs 7th. Ty Keela runs in the 8th spot. Alberto Lobo is 9th. Tyler Van Kirk runs 10th. Langenberg's down to 11th. Put Bruce Silva in 12th. Landon Edwards in the 13th spot. I'm actually wondering if that actually might be Logan Edwards' brother. Let's see if we can get some hints. Let's check out the Edwards machine, the other Edwards machine. It is a red and white car, so it's not super distinct. But this very well could possibly be 2 siblings in the same race. That might be a first here. I'm not quite sure. But we'll move back as Jason Urban and Glenn Cate will round out the 15-car field. We'll move back towards Alberto Lobo chasing down Ty Keela. This battle for the 8th spot. Bottom portion of the top 10 has been the raciest portion of the field so far here tonight. Nadi Emmel, fastest lap of the race again. 1 minute 14.250. Slowly but surely picking up the pace. Couple hundreds here, couple hundreds there. He's showing what those primary tires can do as they start to reach about the midway point we're suspecting of this stint. A little over. Thomas Van Kirk deep into that turn number 1. Very, very tricky here. Stay on the course and off the curbs, at least the ones that want to bounce the car around. Pair of brothers in the Elite Indy 500 last Thursday. I do think that sounds right. There's a couple of them floating around, but that's just cool. You love to see siblings sharing the track. You know, the Bush brothers, the Labonte brothers. I think they're brothers, right? Yeah. It's just cool. You want to talk about a sibling rivalry? That's the way to do it. Langenberg has fallen a bit further. He's now in the clutches of Bruce Silva for the 11th spot. See if Bruce got anything for Tyler. Langenberg will go wide here. That might be a slowdown penalty depending on how wide it was. Doesn't look like it just yet. So we'll move back to Thomas Vankirk, who's still looking to try to make a move on Alberto Lobo. This train of cars between Keela, Lobo, and Vankirk is the closest battle on the track. On the track. Working lap 13 of 34. Do a quick run through of the rest of our coverage here on P1. Nadi Emo finally breaks into the 1 minute 13s. 1:13.925. He's on a mission out there. So, tomorrow night will be the Indy Oval Series from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That'll be at 8:15 Eastern Time, followed up by the Indy Next Oval Series. Will take on the Nashville Superspeedway at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Wednesday night, the Formula Indy Series will take on Homestead. I believe that's the oval for them. That'll take place at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday night. Thursday night will be the INDYCAR Pro Series qualifier at Texas. That'll take place at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be covering the second split of the qualifier series for the rest of the season. Mark Murphy will be back with the AMA Xfinity Series as we see Lobo and Keela side by side here, heading off the right turn. We'll see if Lobo can get a run, mount the charge. Keela's going to hang it on the outside. He's stuck out there. Lobo's going to make the pass. Vankirk looked like he was going to get ready to make a move, take advantage of the situation. Move Lobo up to the 8th spot. And Thursday night, I believe, is the last of our coverage this week. That's a welcome surprise, I believe. Actually, no, we've got the Truck Series, the AMA Truck Series. Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Mark Murphy will be on the call for that event as well. And that'll take us back around to Monday night here on the channel, where we'll be right back here with the Indy Open Series. Next week, we will be at Auto Club taking on the 2-mile oval that was in California. Rest of the field has remained steady at this point. We'll see if Bruce Silva can make a move on Vankirk. Langenberg has moved back up to the 10th spot. He's working his way slowly back forward, trying to reel back in some of the track position he may have lost out on through the exchange with Ty Keela earlier. So we'll see if that comes to any sort of fruition. But Bruce Silva running in the 12th spot, looking for one more. We'll move back to Langenberg since... Actually, let's just move back to Keela, since he'll be technically the closest thing on track, I believe. Gaps will start to stretch back out as they reach just under the halfway point here at the Red Bull Ring. Now, the one comment I would like to make here is that this is probably the only other track that we could say that might give Barber Motorsports Park a run for its money for big animal statues. Obviously, with this track being the Red Bull Ring, there is a big bull statue floating around here somewhere. I want to say it's in the infield here somewhere, coming towards where the drivers are coming through right now. Yeah, no, that's a tree. It's in here somewhere. We'll try to get a shot of it before our coverage ends here tonight. We're going to hop maybe up to a blimp. Maybe the blimp will give us a shot of it at some point. Hop way out here on the blimp. Eyes in the sky. Actually, we'll tighten this up because I think we get through the trees real quick here. So we'll head off turn number 10 here at the Red Bull Ring, get to that halfway mark, and we'll start showing the laps remaining. I think. Maybe not. I'm going to leave it there. So we'll head down towards turn number 3. Working our way down. Very, very tight here. Langenberg runs a little wide. That gets Van Kirk a peak. Not going to be enough for them to generate a run, though. Uh-oh. Did Naughty Emil come into the pit lane, or did he have a big moment? He's on the red tire now, so he must have pit here. So that's the first pit stop of the night. So he pit just before the halfway mark. He's looking to take these alternate tires the rest of the way home, more than likely. Move back to Tykeela. Tykeela's going to come into the pit lane now. Right at the halfway mark here. Little move back to cars on track. Langenberg runs in the 8th spot. So Naughty Emil runs 7th, but he's the first car to have pit. We'll see where the cycle leads him come the end of it. As Leon Flukiger trails Logan Edwards now. We'll hop on board with him as they're likely to pit sooner rather than later. Typically what happens is one car pits, everybody wants to follow them as soon as they possibly can if they can help it. It's possible some of these drivers have done a bit of fuel saving, maybe wanted to run these primary tires a bit deeper into the race, and are doing so now. We'll watch as Flukiger rounds turn number 9 here. The pit entry is off turn 9 here. Does not opt to pit here. We'll go around another time. We'll continue to ride with Flukiger as the gap starts to close on Logan Edwards ahead. Into that very tricky turn number 1. All the curb usage that you could possibly get away with for Flukiger. Now down to 0.2 of a second as we head into turn number 3. Hop back to an outboard shot here to try to capture as much as we can of this battle for the first spot as it stands right now. Remember, Emil running 6 is the first car to have pit. Top 5 drivers still need to come down the pit lane at some point to switch onto those primary tires. And once that happens, we'll get a rundown of where people maybe sit on the push to pass, as well as that is something that, ooh, big tuft of gravel there. Somebody had an off. See a number of drivers have moved over to the red tire. We see Naughty Emil. Rashad Craig has made it down the pit lane alongside Thomas Van Kirk, Tykeela, and Glenn Cate. Flukiger's going to stay out another lap as Logan Edwards hits the pit lane. Move Flukiger to the point for now. So Langenberg runs 8th behind Alberto Lobo. Langenberg may be hitting the pit lane. He is. That'll be Alberto Lobo ahead of him. Kevin Hayes is just getting down off the jacks. He'll be off and away. So pit stops in full force. We'll hop back to Naughty Emil because we know he's not going to pit again, but we'll see where he cycles out here, as we're probably going to expect everybody else who hasn't pit to pit here. I'd imagine given his lead, Emil will emerge with it, but by how much? Working turn number 9. Looks like Flukiger has stayed out. No, he's in the pit lane. So Emil will emerge with the lead here. How big is the gap to the cars behind now? We'll see as it cycles through here. Edwards is going to start cycling through cars now. Flugaker's back up to speed. We'll see where he merges out. So Flugaker's out of the pit lane, about 1.6 seconds ahead of Logan Edwards. This does seem advantageous if Flugaker can get those alternate tires up to temperature before Edwards can reel him in. So we'll watch to the conclusion of this lap, figure where the cars cycle out, and then run through the field. As we're just a little over past halfway now, 14 to go in our 34-lap event. So far, a dominant performance from Nadi Emmel, leading basically every lap he could prior to and now after the pit cycle has completed. He's out to a 12.3-second lead over Leon Flugaker in that second spot. Logan Edwards has caught Leon Flugaker now. He's within about 0.3 of a second heading down the front straightaway here. He'll run third. Seb Alexander runs fourth with Rashad Craig in fifth. Kevin Hayes, the third, runs sixth with Tyler Langenberg after starting 14th up to 7th. Bruce Silva will run 8th. Landon Edwards will run 9th. Thomas Van Kirk will run 10th. Ty Keela in 11th. Glenn Cate will be 12th. Jason Urban 13th. And Caleb Brashear down to 14th. He must have had trouble at some point along the way here to be down that far. Not quite sure what happened to Caleb. So the lead for Nadi Emmel is down about 1 second at the moment. See if maybe that's just due to the tires starting to fade, or if that's just due to where on the track the two cars are located. That tends to happen when the gaps get bigger, is that the disparities over the course of the lap tend to modulate a lot more. Oscillate, I guess. So Edwards just about a second back off of Flugaker. That seemed like he had a good charge of steam, but Flugaker's got the tires underneath of him now, and Edwards might be starting to fall away on those alternates. Looks like the closest battle on the field will actually be the other Edwards on track, running in the 9th spot, trying to chase down Bruce Silva. He's in a train of 3 cars between himself, Silva, and Van Kirk, running 8th through 10th. We'll stick with this battle for the time being. Again, the bottom portion of the top 10 is putting up a good race tonight by all the drivers involved. Flugaker runs the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 13.7. That gap is starting to fall for Nadi Emmel. Maybe his car just wasn't cut out to run on these alternate tires. The overcut might have been the play here. If Flugaker can keep that pace up coming to the end here, he will have at least caught Emmel. If he keeps that pace up before the end of this, we'll keep an eye on that. We stay out here with Landon Edwards running in the 9th spot. Real tight through turn number 3 there once more. We'll hop actually to the back of this train with Van Kirk and watch from the cockpit camera to watch how these drivers navigate these corners here at the Red Bull Ring in a group like this. It's a big important thing with road racing, particularly with cars without bumpers, right? You're not able to just kind of push cars around and lift off into the corners. You have to stay off of each other. So navigating the corners, particularly with trying to maximize downforce through the corners. You know, we talk about dirty air a lot on the ovals in these cars, but it still has some effect on road courses as well, as we'll see guys try to navigate ever so slightly offline to get a little bit more downforce on the front ends of their cars, get that extra rotation. Van Kirk rounds turn number 10 here. Heading down the front straightaway, bit of a moment there. Caught probably more curb than they wanted to there. And they're going to fall a little further away from the battle ahead between Edwards and Silva. Bit of a slide there from Edwards off of turn number 1. These alternate tires starting to show their age as Edwards will look to the outside. We're going to watch it from the onboard here. Silva locks it off, but Edwards is going to be trying to mount that run heading into this next right-hander here. Does he opt to look for it? He's going to at least poke the nose out, thinks better of it, pulls back in line. Van Kirk's going to run a little wide here. We'll move outboard now. Try to get a better view of the battle ahead with Landon Edwards here. Trying to chase down Bruce Silva for that 8th spot. Now that gap to Nadi Emmel has not gone down this time by. May just be down to the alternates having a couple laps in them before they get slow. And that just seems to be the timing of it. Silva ran real wide off the final corner. He may be trying to serve a slowdown penalty here. Not quite sure, but looks to be at speed here. Let's take a look at some push-to-pass numbers while we're here. So driver with the highest would be Rashad Craig, running in the 5th spot on 119. Jason Urban is out at 0. Landon Edwards here that we've been riding along with is on 63, with Silva ahead on 69. So that puts the advantage on push to pass for Silva here. Most everybody seems to be in the neighborhood of, 50, 60 some odd seconds of push to pass left. Some a little over, some a little less. Likely all comes down to where people need to get it done. Yeah, not sure what happened to Alberto Lobo in the Pepsi car. He's down 5 laps. Possible he made contact with a wall at a point in time. Maybe trying to come to the pit lane. Maybe off cold tires. That's a big thing as well. Especially since this car was updated with the new aerodynamic packages and the new dashboard and sounds and whatnot. The red tire seems much, much harder to hold on to coming out of the pit lane. Takes a bit longer to come up to temp and then falls off very, very quickly. So he may have been caught out on the cold tires, got on the gas a little too hard, and out you go. Jason Urban, that was Tyler Langenberg around. We'll see what happened to Langenberg. Since we caught his car backwards here, we'll back the camera up. Coming off of the 3rd turn here. Looks like he gets a hold of that extra curbing on the outside and just spins it. So that'll drop Langenberg down the order down to 11th. We'll hop back to Nadi Emmel at the front. He's up by 11.2 over Leon Flugiker. But that's a big thing with this track, right? Is the corners look very, very simple, but it's the confines in which you find them and how you approach them that makes it so, so difficult. The corners tighten up on exit here all over the place. As we see Emmel using every bit of the rumble strip and the... I guess that's not considered a rumble strip, but the green, runoff rumble strip thing. Some of them are strips, some of them are flat. Unless you're fuel saving, you'll find cars running in either map 1 or map 6 typically. Map 1 is basically a baseline. Oh, we've got a car around. I believe that's Glenn Cate that was backwards on the front straightaway. We'll see what happened to him. He'll come off the final corner here. Too much wheel. Spins around. And probably noses it into the inside wall. We'll see if the wing pops here. Yeah, he makes contact with the inside wall and opts to tow the vehicle. That'll be night done for him. Jason Urban's in the pit lane serving a black flag. We'll hop back to Caleb Brashear. But as I was trying to get to before we caught that car around on the speedway, yeah, map 1 or map 6. Map 1 is like your baseline full push, use all the fuel you can get map. And then map 6 is basically the same thing, except the throttle curve is more gentle. You'll tend to find that that helps with that on-throttle oversteer that a lot of drivers might be struggling with. Is it makes the throttle input a bit more gradual without having to be quite as light or gradual in the foot. It makes it a bit easier. It does have a tendency to make you a little bit slower out of the corners occasionally, but it helps with trying to manage that on-throttle oversteer that you'll see a lot of drivers get caught out by. And for those who don't know, maps 2 through 5 are various fuel save maps, basically. So you've got 2, which is a little bit less than map 1, 3, 4, and 5. 5 is your full save under green map. Map 7 does the opposite of what map 6 does, and it basically makes an exponential curve out of the throttle map, which means the lower end of the throttle curve is more aggressive. That gets less frequently used, to my knowledge anyway. And then map 8 is I'm riding behind a pace car under yellow and want to save as much as I possibly can. Because these cars don't have onboard starters, it's not conducive to do what you say do in a NASCAR car and clutch and coast or well, you can clutch and coast under yellow, but you cannot turn the car off unless you know you're going to have enough roll speed to bump start the car. Because otherwise, there isn't an onboard starter here to save you and refire the car. Now, that may change when we get the hybrid system later this year, but as of right now, there's no bump starting without being rolling at around 65 miles an hour. And the last thing you want to do is be trying to save as much fuel as you can and kill the engine. Because the engine not moving at all isn't going to really do you any good in that situation. So we'll see if we can catch a battle here. Rashad Craig has gotten closer and closer to Seb Alexander for the fourth spot, sorry. He runs 5th, chasing down his IAR teammate in Seb Alexander. Nadi Emmel still out to over 11 seconds over Leon Flugiker. That is a big thing that impacts these American open wheelers in particular, is things like on-throttle oversteer and having too much wheel in the car that causes the car to get unsettled or overloaded on the tires. You see it happen a good bit on the ovals, particularly the short oval variety, where cars will kind of hit a goofy spot in the track. We saw it last night in the Votive Racing League at Milwaukee, where Hunter Engrave was running about the middle lane on the track, sailed it on through the corner, and the car just magically slipped out from under you. And at a track like Milwaukee, you get to the wall very, very quickly there, and that was night over for Engrave. Emmel in Verstappen mode. Well, it is the Red Bull ring after all, so he's clearly dialing in his inner Red Bull #1 driver at the front of the field here. Wasn't he in the AlphaTauri car? Let's go look. Yeah, he's in an AlphaTauri car. Maybe he's got to get the main Red Bull livery on there, because he is out in force. He's put Jason Urban a lap down. I believe that's who's running off in the distance behind him. That would be the case. We'll hop back to Rashad Craig here. Actually, Landon Edwards and Ty Keela. Oh, we got a car off. That's Van Kirk. He'll fall down the order. Let's see if we can try to catch what happened to Van Kirk. Roll the cameras back. Ooh. We'll actually ride on board heading into turn #1 for him. And yeah, looks like he just got loose off the corner. I'm not sure if he was on the throttle at that stage. We'll try to play it at speed as well, so you get an idea if he's in the throttle at this point. So he comes into the corner. yeah, just starts getting into the throttle and around it goes. So let's get back to Landon Edwards. He's all over Taikila now. Red Bull Orable livery. Yeah, if we get Logan Edwards to share around his homemade Red Bull livery or his Orable livery that he ran at Gateway that one race, I think that needs to be public domain. We need to let that seep into the iRacing code or the iRacing ethos, or what do they call it? The iRacing INDYCAR iceberg, the Red Bull Orable livery. Do we make that a part of the INDYCAR community iceberg? If you've seen that thing in the flesh. We've got 2 laps to go here. We're going to stick with this battle for the 8th spot. Actually, Emil's on the white flag now. We're going to stick here. We'll give Emil his due once these cars make it back to the start-finish line. As Taikila starts to stretch his legs over Landon Edwards. Half second seems to be the closest gap of anybody so far. This gap is cleaned out. We'll hop back to Naughty Emil. We'll ride around with him for the rest of his final lap here from the Red Bull Ring. You can see Caleb Brashear off in the distance ahead. He will stay on the lead lap, fortunately, for him in his Luke Mansky racing car. So Naughty Emil will be your winner here from the Red Bull Ring tonight in that AlphaTauri scheme. He'll ride off into the sunset. Hop back to Leon Flukiger, who should have crossed the line by now. Logan Edwards will round the final corner and finish 3rd here tonight. His Luke Mansky racing machine. Another podium finish for him. I believe that's 3 in a row now. Rashad Craig will make it by Seb Alexander. Would you look at that? For the 4th spot, Alexander will finish 5th behind his IAR teammate. Kevin Hayes will finish 6th here tonight. He'll run it down the front straightaway. Bruce Silva had a wonderful battle through the field. He'll finish 7th here tonight. Ty Kilo around the final corner, finish 8th in his Rogue Racing machine. Landon Edwards will finish 9th. That's 2 top 10s for the presumed Edwards brothers. Thomas Van Kirk will finish 10th, rounding out the top 10. You got Tyler Langenberg crossing the line in 11th. And Caleb Brashear will round the final corner. We saw him just a moment ago, about to go a lap down. He'll stay on the lead lap and finish 12th. And Jason Urban is going to head to the pit lane to round out this event. That'll be the 13th car still running, with Glenn Cate and Alberto Lobo out with issues here tonight. There, you could see the bull off in the center there. It's out there. You see it. As cars continue to circulate, we'll look around the track and we'll get the finishing results here from the Red Bull Ring. And that will be Naughty Emil winning 12 seconds ahead of Leon Flugiker. Logan Edwards will finish 3rd. Rashad Craig 4th. Seb Alexander 5th. Kevin Hayes will be 6th. Bruce Silva, I have been informed, is a woman. Shout out to her. Ty Keela runs 8th. Landon Edwards 9th. Thomas Van Kirk will be 10th, just over a minute behind. Rounding out the top 10. Tyler Langenberg will finish 11th after starting 14th here tonight. Caleb Brashear, rough night for the other Luke Mansky Racing entry. He'll finish 12th. Jason Urban will be 13th. And then Glenn Cate and Alberto Lobo in the Pepsi car will round out the 15-car field here tonight. We shall see if anybody wants to be interviewed. I'm sure we'll get Logan Edwards on in here. He knows how to have a time. See if we can get a camera for him. This is going to be disorienting, I'm aware. All right. We will get his deal going here. We've got the Narc Brain.
Those alternates. Oh, hello.
Sorry about that, Logan. Welcome up to the broadcasting booth. It sounds like we got you here.
Yep.
Well, I believe this is 3 podiums in a row for you here in Indy Open. Kind of talk us through your race. Looked like it was a grand battle for the last couple spots there. I think Flugiker managed to get you out there on pit strategy come the end of the race there. So kind of talk us through what you had out there.
I just think I was tiptoeing a lot. This is gonna sound weird, but every time there's an overcast track, I'm slower. Just because of the visuals. It's weird. I can't explain it. But I think that's what really caught me out today is I was distracted by the conditions.
Yeah, it is something that we don't really talk about, particularly in the dry, right? Is you could have cloud coverage or the sun poking out in weird spots. It looked like come the end of the race, the sun was kind of poking out of the clouds in weird spots, making it a bit difficult to see, I'm sure. That plays a factor here. So, it looked like everybody was pretty committed to the primaries to alts. That looked like it was the play here. We saw some cars opt to run shorter on those primary tires than others. Do you feel like there was any potential for maybe an earlier stop to play out in your favor, or maybe pitting a bit later?
If I changed my strategy, I would have pit a lap later, but I gridded early to walk my brother through some things, and then I just really didn't save enough fuel throughout the run to get that extra lap.
Well, it does sound like that's confirmation the other Edwards is indeed your brother. I had suspicion, but it's good to see him out in the field tonight. I think he clocked in a top 10 finish for him. So both Edwards brothers in the top 10 here tonight. I'm sure you've got other people you want to shout out here. So friends, family, sponsors, anybody you want to shout out, floor is yours, Logan.
Shout out to the Luke Mansky Racing Esports crew. Shout out to my brother. Took a lot of convincing, but it's super nice to have him join me for one of these broadcast SOFs. And shout out to my parents who were cheering us on. And that's about it. P1 Broadcasting, of course, for broadcasting this.
Well, Logan, another podium finish for you. It's becoming commonplace around here. You've got these podium interviews about nailed down as nailed down gets. So we'll hope to catch you out here again for another one come next week from Auto Club, I believe.
Wow, I'm excited for that.
As are we. So that is Logan Edwards, your third place finisher here tonight, and we will get Leon Flugiker up here very shortly once we get his machine on the screen. There we go. Got the Leon Flugiker car up on display. Oh, I moved myself down. Leon, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting, you got me?
Yeah, I hear you. Hello.
Hey, Leon, how's it going?
Kind of nervous, first time getting a podium in broadcast split.
Well, it's good to have it on here up here for the top split here on Monday night. Kind of talk us through your race here. Obviously, Naughty Emil had quite a sizable lead, but it looked like you were able to make some moves happen through the pit strategy there through the midway.
Yeah, I was stuck behind Logan for the first part. I couldn't really get a good exit out of turn 3, so it was impossible to overtake. And you crossed the line of like 1.1 laps to fuel left. So I was like, if he pits early, I'm gonna overlap. And if he goes late, I'm gonna undercut and see what happens. And luckily, it worked out for me.
The classic do what they don't. That tends to work out every once in a while, and it did seem like it was very tricky to make a clean pass around here, especially through the passing zones, given how tight the exits of corners were. It's good to see that you could kind of work smarter, not harder to make up ground. It didn't seem like anyone was going to catch Naughty come the end of this race. So P2 was kind of all you could fight for coming into this race. So if you want to shout anybody out here tonight, if you've got any friends, family, sponsors, floor is yours for the podium finish here tonight.
Shout out DDK Racing, racing team, and shout out you for broadcasting it.
Well, shout out to you, Leon, for a P2 finish here tonight. We thank you for joining us here in the booth, and we hope to catch you in the next race next week.
Maybe.
And that will be Leon Flugelker finishing second here tonight. Don't believe we have Naughty Emil on tap in the interview room, but we'll get his car up in here regardless. Naughty Emil. Get him out of the pit lane, maybe. Come on. Give him his due. Naughty Emil in that AlphaTauri scheme will be your winner here tonight. And we want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to P1's coverage of the Indy Open Series here on Monday night, making us part of your Monday night tradition, if you will. And I will catch you in about 1 hour and change, not even, for the Indy Next Series back here at the Red Bull Ring, where we will host the top split of that event, which will be a 15-lap event for those cars here. Very excited to see Indy Next tackle on one of its international tracks this season. I believe this is the second of 4 for this season. And to all those that do the difficult jobs around the world, we want to thank you for what you do and allowing us to do all the fun stuff that we do as a result of that. Have a good night, everybody.